The Confederation of African Football has chosen Equatorial Guinea as the host for the 2015 Africa Cup of Nations in the place of Morocco. And CAF says the dates for the tournament will remain January 17th to February 8th. CAF says 4 cities will be used for the tournament. That's Malabo, Bata, Mongomo and Ebebiyin. And CAF also says Equatorial Guinea's team would be allowed to take part as the host nation despite being disqualified from the Africa Cup qualifying this year for fielding an ineligible player. And to talk about this and more, we joined in the studio by SABC soccer analyst Christopher Bongo. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me.
All right, let's take it from the exciting win of Bafana over the weekend and all that. It looks like confidence is gaining momentum in the team, but are they ready to take on the big giants?
Well, listen, you take it step by step. The first step was to have a team. The second step was to be able to qualify for the African Cup of Nations. And then the third step will be the tournament itself. So the first 2 steps has been done successfully with a game in hand, which before playing against Nigeria. But I think the game on Wednesday, it is all about pride. Never beaten Nigerian before from the national team side, and a very arrogant side, which Nigeria is, for a good reason. They're the African champions. So can you imagine going to the tournament, beating the champions and getting them stay at home? So I think that's where we are at the moment. And the next stage will be how we'll be playing in the competition itself, which is a totally different cash fees.
The question would be, do we have enough material? I'm asking you this question on the backdrop of the senior players in other national teams. When you look at Morocco, you look at Cote d'Ivoire and all that, the likes of Drogba, Samuel Eto'o and all that. Do we have that material since we are starting afresh with a young team who looks so very fast, so very strong and vigilant and all that? But are they going to be competent enough?
Well, I like the fact that you asked that question. Cote d'Ivoire had DJ Drogba for 3 African Cup of Nations. They have not won it. Morocco have not won it since 1982. So the country that you give names with big names, they have not won African Cup of Nations. The country that won African Cup of Nations, it is Egypt. And we found ourselves seeing a country like Zambia winning it and beating actually Cote d'Ivoire. So the question is, does South Africa have enough players to play in the competition? The answer is very simple. Yes, it is a country of 50 million people, and to find some 22 gentlemen playing football for the country, it is very easy to do that. It is all how they will prepare themselves going into that situation. When the draw came up about the qualifier, people did not actually trust that South Africa will do well because they have not done so since 2006. But what they have done this round, they finished the group as a top and they still have a game to play. So simple answer, South Africa will be ready when the time comes.
Yeah, I can see the smiles of many South Africans since Sheikhs took over and they're looking confident. Now looking at the host country, the whole saga of Morocco and all that, and Equatorial Guinea now being the host nation and all that, many people have been asking, what criterion was used for the alternative host country?
Well, number one, you don't choose a host country often just like this. All the host countries, they came because they wanted to be the host, except South Africa in 2012 where they were asked to be the host. And the situation is the same with Equatorial Guinea. Equatorial Guinea got chosen because of 2 reasons. Reason number one, they're the only African country ready to say yes, we will host this event despite of Ebola crisis. And the second answer is simple, they've got enough money to be able to host the event. Listen, we will have a good African Cup of Nations, but we might not have a great event because of the situation that you alluded earlier on.
Yeah, I'm happy that you're saying we might not have a great event because I was going to ask you about the fan base. Will we have enough attendance at the stadiums? Number 2, the issue of sponsorship. I had Danny Jordan talking last week about the deals that had been struck with sponsors in terms of the confirmation of the venue in advance, where preparation had been made a year before and all that. Now to chop and change arrangements for the tournament like this as a matter of urgency and all that, how will it inconvenience the matter and how will issues be put into place for the readiness of the tournament?
Well, listen, it is a situation. The reason so far Morocco has not been banned is because they give a good enough reason for them not to host the event. And it is a situation where you put in any contact act of God, act of nature. Nobody oversee what will happen. So it did happen. Of course, they've got a lot of guarantees that it's supposed to give to the sponsor and everything else. But listen, the tournament will take place. We'll have a tournament. We'll have 5 weeks of a good tournament. You talk about the fan. We had a tournament in South Africa. We had a tournament in Equatorial Guinea in Gabon. We had so many games playing in an empty stadium. So playing a 90 minutes of football in an empty stadium, we are kind of used to it. So that is not a big issue.
The issue of Ebola has actually been topping the headlines in as far as African countries are concerned. Yeah. Why do you think South Africa was so forthright in saying we are not going to host the tournament? And it actually was denied twice.
Well, South Africans are not different from Moroccan. The South African government and the Moroccan government have got one objective to do, is to protect their people. So South Africa said no because they believe they were not ready, health-wise, security-wise, to check everything that will happen around the continent for them to host the event. Not the event itself, but the security of the country. If today you and I were sitting here and you know somebody outside the SABC found that he has Ebola virus, you will be very nervous. So can you imagine what a government of a country will go with 50 million people plus the supporters coming to that country? Morocco has asked CAF to give them a security that they will control the movement of every single supporters coming into Morocco. That security was not given. That security was not given to South Africa and any other nation.
So why is it not the case with Equatorial Guinea then?
This is what I've been saying, and I will repeat what I said earlier on. If this tournament goes on very well, CAF will become very heroic. They'll be very happy that it did happen. However, the risk of something going wrong, it is irreversible, because you cannot say will change. No. If something happened, it will be a dramatic event. So the question is it a risk worth taking? And I'll go back on the record to say we should have, and we should, cancel the African Cup of Nations and play it a year later when we know everything about this disease, how to control it, when the continent is ready to deal with it at the moment.
We're going to leave it at that. Is it the risk worth taking? We'll leave it on that note. Thank you very much. We're talking to Christopher Bongo, who is SABC soccer analyst, right here on PM News. And of course, in case you're just tuning in, we're talking about sporting matters. And South Africa's professional continental cycling team, MTN Quebec,